Alright, hello YouTube. Now, first things first, before I get into this, I just want to let everyone know that I do not recommend doing this. This is something that could possibly cause safety issues, and it's something that if it ends up causing some kind of problem for you, and you take it to your local shop, and they ask, why'd you do this? You can't say, well, some guy on YouTube told me to do it, because that's not really an excuse. I didn't tell you to do this, but I'm just putting this information out there, so if you wanted to do it, this is how. With that being said, there's my disclaimer. I'm not responsible for any damage that gets caused to your vehicle because of this. So without further ado, let's get to it. So, if you clicked on this video, you're probably wondering, what I'm talking about. How do you disable your ABS? Now, if you're like me, like driving old cars like this, that kind of stuff doesn't have ABS. So when you get into a car that does have ABS, it's a little annoying when you're on the, right now it's the middle of January, we just had a snowstorm coming, we got 6 inches. You try and hit the brakes, and the ABS kicks in, and the car will not stop. It just keeps rolling until there's, the wheels stop locking up, and then it'll stop. And that causes you to roll sometimes through intersections or through parking spaces until you hit the curb, or maybe you're trying to pull into a parking lot and you miss the turn because your car won't stop. These are all reasons why I hate ABS, and I only have one car that has ABS, and luckily for me, this it wasn't an issue because it already didn't work. But if your ABS is working and you want to stop it from working, this is how you do that. So, the first thing that you want to do is determine whether your car is front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. And, this is how you do that. You look in your engine bay, and this is a back view, so looking from the front, if your belts are on the front of the engine facing the grill, that's a rear-wheel drive vehicle. If your belts are facing the left or the right of the fenders, that's a front-wheel drive vehicle. Now, if you have an all-wheel drive vehicle, it's not technically all-wheel drive. It's still going to be either a front-wheel drive or a rear-wheel drive vehicle, but the front wheels or rear wheels are going to spin with the drive wheels. So it's going to be all-wheel drive, but it's not actually all-wheel drive. There's still going to be power wheels, and it's going to be the same deal with your engine. If it's if it's rear-wheel drive mainly, it's going to be facing like this, and if it's front-wheel drive mainly, it's going to be facing like this. And the reason for that is because you don't want to do this on your drive wheels, because then your speedometer will be off. You want to do it on the wheels that aren't going to be driving the car, they're just sort of spinning with it. So in my example, we're going to do front-wheel drive because I think that's what most vehicles are on the road nowadays, unless you're driving something like I am. But so here's your front-wheel drive car, and you're going to want to go to one of the rear wheels. It does not matter. But if you do happen to know which wheel spins, because front-wheel drive, only one wheel spins. And on most American cars, I think it's the driver's front wheel. But if you drive something that's not American, it could be the other wheel. There's really no good way to find out. But if you do happen to know, you want to go the wheel that's furthest away from that. So let's say it's the left front. You got to go to the right rear. And when you get there, you take the tire off. And this is what you'll see. It's a crappy illustration, but it gets the job done. Here's your fender. Here's your strut tower. Here's your brake rotor. There's your brake caliper. This is a brake hose. And then behind that, on the actual hub, there will be a little wire coming off of it. It's not the hose. You're looking at a wire. It's usually red or orange. That wire is what's called a wire for a wheel speed sensor. And the wheel speed sensor does two things. One, it tells the car how fast it's going, so your speedometer is correct. Two, it tells the computer how fast the wheel is spinning, so if you start braking and this wheel is locked up, but the other wheels are spinning at, say, 15 miles an hour, and this one's not spinning at all, it turns ABS on, so it doesn't allow this brake to brake all the way. It only doesn't brakes like this. Boom, 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 boom. And it does it like super fast so that it won't, the brakes won't lock onto the hub or the rotor and lock up the wheel. So it's a safety feature, but it's not really safe because it makes it so your stopping distance on slippery surfaces is greatly increased, because you can't lock your tires up and have, full traction. So you find that wire, and what you're going to do is that if you're lucky, there will be a little harness on there, a little connector. You just disconnect it. If you're unlucky, there won't be a connector, and it'll just be a wire, and this is where you want to make sure that you want to do this before you do it. You go and get your wire cutters, and you cut that line. You cut that wire. Do not cut the brake hose. You're cutting a wire. It's not going to be rubber, and it's not going to be black. If it's a black rubber hose and you cut it, you just cut your brake line. You need to get that fixed as soon as possible. If you cut this wire and a bunch of clear liquid comes out, you cut the wrong thing. So anyway, you cut the wire, and then you take some electrical tape, and you cover up the nubbin of the electrical, the copper of the wire, cover it up so that no dirt or salt or anything gets inside of it and corrodes it, and then you tuck it up inside your fender and zip tie it up there just so it's out of the way. Now, two things are going to happen. One, your ABS isn't going to work anymore, which is what you wanted. Two, your ABS light is going to come on the dash, the warning light. If that annoys you, get some electrical tape. You want to be electrical tape because it's heat resistant, and just cover it up. That's what I have on my Lincoln right now. You take the electrical tape, you cut a little piece of tape, a little square, put it over the ABS light, get it all nice and on there, and then boom, done. You can't see the light anymore. Out of sight, out of mind, right? And the reason you want electrical tape is because if you put Scotch tape on it, it'll burn, because that light behind the dash gets really, really, really hot. Like, you put your finger on it, and it'll burn your finger. So you want to use electrical tape so you don't have that problem. Now, you've just disabled your ABS system successfully. But if you, depending on how good of a driver you are, if your car has stability control and traction control, and it's a modern car that is, 2000, let's say 5-ish and newer, those things aren't going to work. Your stability control and traction control are not going to work anymore, because all those things is that when it detects that one wheel is spinning faster than the other one when you're skidding, it turns the brakes on, activates the brakes on, say, like the driver's side, so that this wheel doesn't spin as fast as this wheel, and your car straightens out. The old school designs, like my car, it just cuts power to the drive wheel, so you hit the gas and nothing happens, and then your car just automatically straightens out. That's the smart way of doing it. But if you have a new car, they use the ABS system to do that. So not only is your ABS light going to come on, but your traction control light is going to come on, and your anti-skid control light is going to come on. So you have to cover them up too. And that's when it gets into the territory of, I don't exactly know what that would mean for your vehicle. Sometimes they go into limp mode when all that stuff gets disabled. They don't drive right. But assuming it doesn't do that, there you go. Now you know how to disable your ABS. And you can enjoy being able to stop and lock your brakes up fully and not roll through a red light when it's, there's a little bit of snow on the ground or whatever. So, now you know. Again, I'm going to press into the viewers that this isn't something that I'm telling you to do. I'm just saying that if you don't like ABS and you want to get rid of it, this is the safest way to do it. And if it's a connector, it's easily reversible. Say you take it off, you don't like it, you're like, oh crap, I like having traction control because now I can't get out of my driveway. Well, you can just hook it back up and you'll have ABS again. You don't have to reset anything, you don't have to do anything. It's no big deal. But if you can't get out of your driveway without traction control, you should probably learn how to drive better. Just my 2 cents. So, there we go. Hope I helped some people. There's probably going to be a number of actual mechanics out there that think this is stupid. So, thanks for watching anyway. For you people, I'm sure I'll get some comments, some interesting comments. See you in the next one.